And yeah, last up on the track is Anna. Sorry, I need to get my notes. So, Anna is going to wrap the track up. We've got a fresh perspective of revenue that goes beyond SaaS alone. So Anna is Chief Customer Officer at Sendcloud and is here to talk about the hybrid model. So how to make non-SaaS revenue not just possible, but predictable. Yes, so it's a different lens, but one that might just open up new growth opportunities for your business. So I'm just going to click for you here. There you go, Anna.
Hello, everyone. So first of all, sorry for my voice. I have no control over what's happening in my nose right now, so I'm sorry you have to put up with it for a couple of minutes. Yeah, I'm going to talk about making non-SaaS revenue a bit more predictable because, yeah, just a perfect segue from the previous speaker here. Yeah, like us having control over data and being able to understand what's going on in the business, what it gives us is a good sense to predict sort of where we're going and with that sort of adjust our actions. I'm going to tell you about our story a bit and what has been our challenge over the past maybe 1-2 years. Yeah, so this is perfect segue from the previous session. If we're working with revenue on SaaS, we're talking about MRR, ARR, churn, NRR. So all of these metrics, what it gives you is kind of predictability, right? You know where you're going, hopefully. You know where, if it's ARR, you know where your churn risk is with that customer, right? On the MRR too, it just means that you need to be quicker there on the pace. Yeah, so this is kind of the myth of the perfect SaaS, which means that subscriptions are, you know, predictable growth, stickiness. We can work on them using our features, all of that, and this results into expansion and success. Like we know how it goes. It's the perfect thing. Then what happens is that, as how it goes in the world, there's like how we think things are going to go, and then there's reality, right? And yeah, I'm going to take sort of this for the Sendcloud example in a way, which is just to give you sort of an overview of what we are. Sendcloud is a shipping software, so we help out merchants with their e-commerce, and we go from the consumer checkout all the way to support on delivery. So every step of the journey there, we are helping them. We are a software at the end of the day. And so, yeah, what do? Like we connect them also with their integrations that they might have when it comes to their web shops and their carriers. We are kind of the middleman there and help with the full solution there, as I was saying. What was our reality check? So we have our subscription model, and that it's very much the path that I was explaining you. We have the predictability. We know that feature usage is connected to churn. Very typical SaaS business. You can take out Sendcloud, put anything else there, and it will still make sense. Then we have what we call our transactional model, which is kind of more unique because I think the reality of everything is that if you are a business, yeah, your subscription might be your main source of income, but you also have maybe professional services. I think it's a common one in the SaaS space. For us, we call it transactional model, and this is that we also sell labels ourselves with Sendcloud. So you can have your direct connection with your carrier, use your own negotiated agreement, or we also have a bunch of options for you ourselves that we negotiated for you. And if you're a smaller customer, they are quite more interesting than what you would get out of the desk in the service point, let's call it. And so yeah, this results that it's more dependent on volume because if you are shipping, we're making money. If you're not shipping, we're not making any money on this model. And churn is completely unpredictable because you might be shipping today and tomorrow you're gone. You have no idea. And so this is kind of the worst nightmare of a SaaS business because predictability goes out the window. And all the beautiful metrics that we have are then highly dependent on something that we cannot predict. The reason I'm sharing this, hopefully it comes to a good ending and it doesn't end in such a negative thing, it's, how do we make it predictable? I think that's the question. That was the question that I was facing as I started working as a Chief Customer Officer at Sendcloud. It's like I want to make this part of the revenue predictable because it's a significant part of our revenue. And so I think this is the case for other companies as well. And the gut instincts might be, hey, let's kind of ignore it. Let's go for the things that we know that we are good at, we can predict, we can sort of excel, let's expand it. But that might be that you're losing money on or leaving money at the table there. And yeah, if you are part of an executive team, that's not something that your CEO wants to hear. So yeah, how to make it predictable. For us, yeah, what we came up with was a transactional lock-in. So the number one thing that we wanted was predictability, right? So we wanted to know if the churn was coming, when was that churn coming? I think this is the first thing that you need to know if you're running customer-facing teams or customer success-facing teams, which is when that churn might happen, because that's the only way that you can start defining actions to sort of prevent it. If you don't even know when that churn is coming, then you are already losing the game. And so for us, it meant that we needed to transform what was a transactional model in what was more similar to a subscription model. So we know that every shipment for us is a new touch point in the platform. We know as well that more volume represents more revenue. And so for us, what we define as lock-in is okay, let's align expectations between what we want and the customers want. And what they want is better pricing or more access to things that will help them either reduce costs or gain efficiencies that will eventually also reduce their costs. And what we want is to make sure that we know what is the volume that you're going to bring us. And so if these two things align, we can start having commitment volumes from our customers to us. And we know that then, okay, if this commitment volume is from the next year, the next 2 years, all of a sudden we have something that is very similar to a subscription. Of course, if the volume goes up, we can renegotiate, but that's the perfect scenario. I will sign up for that any time of the week. If the volume is lower than that, that's when these things get into place, because there's a commitment, so the customer needs to sort of bring that volume in regardless, right? And yeah, so for us, it was sort of aligning expectations. So what will customers want out of this? What will be the thing that we will be needing to give them in order for us to have that commitment from them? And in result, we would get what we wanted, which was predictability and us guaranteeing that if we know where churn might be coming, we can start acting upon preventing it. So we turned variable transactions into our what now predictable commitments. And we did that by better discounts or access to certain software features that we already had, maybe associated with plans that they were not part of, and with that we were able to lock them in, as we say. I clicked on the wrong button. Did I? Yeah. Okay, good. Sorry for that. So then what becomes is that we are sort of layering the revenue models, and in that way, we kind of match up what was before a transactional model with what is now a subscription model of the sudden, and we get kind of the same benefits. So if we go through the list, we have a predictable revenue, we have customer retention guaranteed, and again, we know where the threat is coming from, at what point, and we can have teams acting upon it. We have increased customer lifetime value, we align incentives, as we were saying, and we have data-driven insights a lot more, which for us is also, okay, what is a competitive pricing for you? What is the rate? That will help us ourselves with our, carrier conversations and so on. So all along, we have the same kind of benefit that if I take out transactional, I put like the typical subscription model of a SaaS, you still get it. So the point that I'm trying to come across with this is that we should not treat our non-SaaS revenue as sort of something that is ugly or something that is on the side that will make no difference. It can make a huge difference. You need to know your business. So in its wholeness, in a way. And so that is not us ignoring part of the revenue, especially if it's significant. It's us understanding it and seeing then how can that adapt to the rest of our business and the way that we work, and treat them as your differentiator. We know that for us, for example, our transactional model is actually a great differentiator for SMB. Like, we can bring these customers in. These rates are so interesting for them. We are leveraging, like, sort of leveraging the playing field for them, because if they don't have big volumes, they won't be able to negotiate with carriers or with any other of these companies. We are giving them a possibility to be more competitive. So for us, this is a differentiator. We can bring more customers in this way. So we should not ignore it. The thing is there, okay, we are bringing them in. We know that this might be a pain point for us in the future because the drop in the volume will come later and we don't know when. Okay, let's change that up and see what we can do there. And also, if we include some of these feature usage that I was saying, even if they drop out of the transactional model, they are already using all the other features that maybe they're willing to pay a little bit more later for it, you know? And yeah, for me, the number one thing is like predictability. And so that's what we gain with this. Like we know what's coming. We know the revenue that we do have guaranteed. And if your company, your CEO is pressuring you with something like NRR, which I think it's kind of crucial if you are in a SaaS business, as we were hearing about it before. Predictability is the number one thing. You need to know what's up. Like you won't have 100% NRR if you don't know what to expect for the upcoming year. Yeah, so results, right? This is all very nice, but did this mean something in terms of changes for us? Right now, it means around 10% of revenue retention increase for us. So this was massive. It was game changer. We are only sort of touching the tip of the iceberg, as we were saying, because we are still rolling this out in majority of our markets. Like majority of our volume is still not logged in, but it had already this impact. And this was by us changing just the way that we were looking at this side of the business. And it brought focus to the teams. The teams knew what to do. We could separate what we were trying to do with some markets with difference. And once you have that revenue locked in, you also know what to do with those customers. So the team is also focused there. And yeah, and this also helps with retention later on, not only in the immediate factor in terms of revenue, but through the stickiness of your customers on the feature usage and so on as you are implementing it. So yeah, so if you do not have a pure SaaS, like we do, my suggestion is don't force it. You need to embrace it, like see what is the different flavor that you're bringing to the table, and then how can you transform that back into something that you can predict and you can still use as SaaS revenue. Yeah, I think with that, thank you. That's my LinkedIn profile. So if you have any questions, if you want to discuss your specific case, more than willing to do that. And maybe, yeah, I don't know, some questions or something if we still have time.
Sorry, no mic. Yes, good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anna. Really great. And I think what's so interesting with Sendcloud is that you have both models, right? Is anyone else in the audience perhaps with similar models or transactional? No? Does anyone have a question for Anna? Yes.
Yeah, so we're kind of fully driven in SaaS revenue as we look at it now, but there is a transactional element within our SaaS revenue, so we have numbers of items which can increase or decrease.
Yeah.
Currently, we still look at it in a SaaS revenue stream, which makes it super kind of fluctuating month by month.
Exactly.
So would you then take that element out or split the pricing up, or how would you kind of take the two apart when looking at it?
Yeah, we did take the two apart. So we do look at everything separately and then put together still. So the way that we are looking at it, for example, when it comes to revenues, we then split what is coming from a transactional standpoint, what is coming from what we call SaaS revenue. We also, when we are looking at NRR, we look at, okay, what is the NRR of our transactional business versus the NRR of our SaaS business. So yeah, we went completely checking these different, the metrics that you apply to both of them are common, but we do sort of look at them separately. We still look at them together, obviously, because at the end of the day, our investors care about the revenue in general and not exactly like how do you slice it up. But slicing it up brings clarity to our plans, to our teams, and so on. So yeah, we do split it.
Any more questions from anyone in the audience? No? So I want to say a huge thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
I know that you're not feeling too hot, so hope you can go home, have a nice cup of tea and rest.
Yes, I will.
But before that, maybe that makes you feel a little bit better too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.